Hello Seekers, welcome to Puneet's Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. Today is Guru Purnima, so I wish you a very happy and blissful Guru Purnima. May you get the blessings of your Guru and the divine cosmos and the deities. So today's video is slightly different. I wanted to give a Q&A video because it was long due. So a lot of people were asking these questions, so I said let me create a series of Q&A videos. I will try to address most of them either through YouTube or through Instagram. So subscribe this channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified. Also, you can get my answers to some questions on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description box below. So let's continue with the Q&A and let's answer a few questions. So I did get a lot of responses on my Instagram, on my story that I posted about what questions you can ask me. I will reply to some. I will reply to some on this video. Maybe I can create another video. I will just, I've not planned that yet, and maybe some of them I will answer on Instagram. So follow me on those two platforms so that you get all the answers. So the first question is Ketu in Scorpio for people with Rahu in the Scorpio. See, if you have Rahu in Scorpio and if you have Ketu transiting that sign, or in case if you have Rahu or Ketu in any house and you see the opposite is getting transit, then it simply means that it is going to create a huge transformation through that house. Why? Because Rahu is the hunger. When Ketu goes, it tells you to complete that task, finish that task. It switches the polarity. It's like, imagine there are two bar magnets. One is with North Pole and South Pole like this. Then I place another bar magnet, say one with South and North on the opposite direction. They will simply stick like this. They will create a circuit. It is a closed circuit. That means something in your life will end. It marks a completely new beginning. It fills the gap that Rahu and Ketu creates in the axis, and it is actually the time when a lot of things in your life will be fulfilled and few things will also be taken away from you. The hunger of Rahu is quenched by the transit of Ketu, and the gaps created by Ketu, the deficit created by Ketu, is fulfilled by Rahu. So it pulls your attention toward the deficit areas and it takes away or draws your attention away from the areas which are already in surplus. Proceeding to the next question. Debilitated planets, what karma is behind if you get a debilitated planet and how can you rectify that? See, basically what happens is debilitation means lack of resources. That planet do not have sufficient resource to work. So for example, Venus is in Virgo. Venus is the planet of love, luxury, whereas Virgo is the house which rules 6th house, which is seva, service, loans, dispute, disease. Venus don't want to be in that position. So when you get a debilitated planet, that means you have to really work towards improving the qualities of that planet. Otherwise, it will create problems. And that is a common thing. If we get pain, only then we will try to treat ourselves with medicines. That means this draws our attention. So if you have a debilitated planet, your karma is to improve that planet positively in the first place. Debilitation only means it is going to be unhappy, non-resourceful, so you need to work to create resources with respect to that particular planet, but you also have to check if it is a Neech Bhang Raj Yoga. Next question is, how is Rahu Ketu axis transforms our Kundli? Well, Rahu and Ketu are basically karmic planets. They are karmic nodes. Rahu defines karma that you have to explore in this life because it is already unexplored. It shows uncharted territory. Whereas Ketu, which is represented by flag, you can say it is something that is carried on from the past life. So you already know about that house. For Rahu, you will need to learn. For Ketu, you will need to do basic revision. So these are the two strong areas, and your karma usually fluctuate on the basis of this polarity. So wherever your Rahu is, First, you need to draw your attention to that house to do more karma, to learn about it. It's more about learning. Try to capture more things related to that house. Whereas Ketu says, moksha, quit that house, leave the property. But actually, if you are leaving something, you must ensure that you have surplus. So do not ignore the house of Ketu, but what it says is, for Rahu you need to be focused, but for Ketu you should do the karma but never expect the results. Then another question is, which planet alignment is required to get married? Now this is a very horoscope based question, but on general, the planet that is responsible for you to get married, whether you are a man or a woman, is Jupiter. So Jupiter's placement with respect to Lagna, especially its connection to 7th house, its connection to 9th house, and sometimes its connection to 12th house can actually lead to marriage. Also, Jupiter's placement with respect to Moon has to be seen. Because see, when a marriage yoga is seen, it is not only seen from Jupiter but also 7th Lord, with respect to Venus, with respect to Jupiter. All after analyzing all the possibilities, and then Mahadasha is seen that this possibility falls best under which timeline. Then it is said that yes, you have marriage yoga. And remember, this is called marriage yoga, possibilities. It's not enforced on you. Also, you have to check the Navamsha. So if I have to answer in a very simple way, although this is a very complicated process, you have to check the position of Jupiter and the 7th Lord. The next question is to explain more about Prashna Kundli prediction. Prashna Kundli means the Kundli or the horoscope of your question. When a native asks a question, Prashna Kundli should always be casted. Ideally, whenever there is a consultation, Prashna Kundli should always be created so that you can understand the primary focus of the native. He may not be able to convey the true message, but Prashna will actually convey the real intention behind the consultation and what can support him, what cannot support him. Also, Prashna is a very precise method where you can actually go to very deep and higher level horoscopes like divisional charts like D60, D30, D45, so that this gives you an idea on the deeper aspects of the question and you can actually answer the question in a precise manner. But this is not the horoscope of the person, but this is the horoscope of the question itself, and the Lagna of the Prashna is the kind of question or kind of environment the person is asking the question. Prashna Kundli is a specifically designed method to answer questions if you know or you don't know your Kundli, and it can be a snapshot question also. In Prashna Kundli, you have to read the omens. When did the person ask the question? What is happening while you're talking to the person? Is there any disturbance? Are you hearing any sound? Is there any event that has caused a delay in the Prashna? Because maybe he wanted to ask the Prashna in morning, but somehow it was not possible. Then you have to check both, why there was a delay. But after thorough analysis of Prashna, one can be 100% precise towards that question. It may not actually tell you how your life will be 10 years down the line, but the Prashna that you will ask, which are basically precise questions, gets precise answers. I will say it's really magical. Prashna Kundli is a magical tool to transform our life. Does Jupiter conjunct Ketu creates Guru Chandal Yoga? Well, there are few school of thought which say when Jupiter conjunct Rahu or Jupiter conjunct Ketu, it creates Guru Chandal Yoga. So technically you may say yes, it's a Guru Chandal Yoga, but you have to understand who is a Chandal here. Chandal means a person with malefic intentions. Then you have to assess the position of Ketu. Is Ketu malefic for you? Because ideally Ketu should be spiritual planet. Ketu is a planet that gives you moksha. And Jupiter-Ketu conjunction is like you have taken sannyas and you are at the banks of Ganga in Kashi and you are doing kirtan, you are doing the japa. How can that be bad? It is bad for materialistic life. It is bad for this world, for this earthly life in which we live. But for a saintly life, Jupiter and Ketu seems to be very positive. But then, if Ketu is malefic, then it can create pain and suffering to push you into the spirituality. If Ketu is benefic, it will create a natural inclination towards that line. So again, what is a Chandal? Ideally, Rahu and Guru also creates a strong Guru Chandal Yoga. Ketu and Jupiter, Guru Chandal is slightly different. The Ketu Jupiter Guru Chandal is usually benefic. But if your karma is bad and if Ketu turns out to be negative for you, and if Jupiter and Ketu are very close, that means within 5 degrees, only then it can create havoc in someone's life. Because Ketu can really simply destroy the house in which it sits. To create moksha, it will cut all cords, all connections. So that has to be seen from the horoscope. Then the question is, a good online course for beginners like me? Well, you can join my course. I have already conducted few batches. One batch is in progress. Another batch will be launched sometimes either late August or September. So follow my Telegram channel, because all such communications are very easily shared through Telegram, where I can easily share my class schedule and upcoming batches, upcoming classes. I'm planning to create a Nakshatra course as well as a course on aspects and retrogression. All the details I will share in the Telegram channel, on my Facebook and Instagram. So at least you can follow me on Instagram and Telegram so that you get quick access to the courses that I share, and then you can join those courses. The next question is, what is important, Lagna chart or Navamsha? And do you also teach Bhava charts? Okay, first of all, you should only focus on Navamsha, Bhava, divisional charts if you are an astro enthusiast. If you simply want to get an analysis done and you are trying to look into your horoscope, only focus by ascendant and by moon and your D1 chart. The reason? Divisional charts are derived charts. Imagine a complicated graph. To simplify, you have segregated different aspects of life in different segments. That's what it is called a Shodash Varg chart, 16 divisional charts. Out of that 16 divisional chart, one is called D9 or Navamsha. Navamsha is a special chart that correlates nakshatra padas and the zodiac sign. This is a completely different scheme of planetary placement. They are not really in that zodiac. They are assumed to be by creating a horoscope. But imagine there are two planets. They are in absolutely different Rashi, absolutely different nakshatra. But by the principle of Navamsha, they fall under the same Navamsha. That means they must have some correlation between them, but they are working behind the scene. They are not working upfront, because in reality, they are not in that zodiac sign. So you have to be very careful while addressing the divisional charts. Who is more important? Well, everything is important. You cannot really pinpoint that D9 is more important than D1, because D9 cannot be more important than D1, because D9 is derived from D1. D9 is only one part of D1. Out of 16 segments, only one segment is D9. Then how can D9 be more important? After all, what is more important is actually D1. But D9 gives a better understanding, henceforth it is called as soul of the Lagna chart or the birth chart. D9 gives you an idea how strong or how weak a planet is, and eventually or ultimately what is going to be the final flavor of the planet. Say for example, a planet is debilitated in the Lagna chart, but it gets exalted in the D9 chart. So what it says is, it might give you troublesome life with respect to that attributes of that planet in debilitation, but ultimately the result of the planet is going to be fruitful for you. This is the reverse thing that is happening. It will give you a difficult situation, the outcome will be positive for you. So this is how you read divisional charts and the Lagna chart. The next question is, why Saturn and Rahu conjunction is called Shrapit Yoga? Well, I have made a video a long back on my channel, Saturn and Rahu conjunction. You can refer to that video. The link I will give in the description section. The next question is, what does it mean Dhar Karaka exalted? Well, Dhar Karaka is a Karaka of your spouse in Gemini astrology. So the planet that is being the Dhar Karaka, that means he is the one to bring the spouse to you, and the spouse will reflect the characteristics of that planet. If it is exalted, that means you will have a good married life. Under certain condition, it will try to protect you from any downfalls in marriage. Exactly how it will pan out, entire horoscope has to be seen. The next question is a very important question. Why Vedic astrology is important for us? Okay. Vedic astrology is a guiding tool. Imagine it like a guru. As Sadhguru clearly says, Guru do not hold a torch. Guru is the torch. You follow the Guru. because Guru is showing you the light. Similarly, Vedic astrology is my Guru. Vedic astrology is the Guru that tells you what to do, when to do, why to do. It tells you and it protects you from going into the path of adharma and constantly reminds you that you will go into problems if you follow adharma. Go and follow dharma, do dharma. And what is dharma? Following the right path, following the righteousness, and doing things which is beneficial for you, your soul, and society. So why Vedic astrology is important for us? Well, I won't say it is important. I will say it is essential. Vedic astrology is essential for all of us because after all, we are Vedic astrology. Aren't your planet making you who you are? We all are a sum total of planetary energies that we express. The Kundali is just a graph which helps us understand that energy. It helps us understand ourselves, our life, our future. So I won't put it into the category of important because it defines our existence. So it is basically essential. It's a must to understand. And the last question for today will be, will prayer help us? See, prayer makes you humble. Prayer tells your mind that you are not supreme. There is a guardian above who is there. It gives you the hope that somebody will be available when you are in problem. Someone is there who is almighty, who is superior, who will hold your hand when you will fall. Prayer is not just praising the God. It is a creation of hope. And hope keeps us alive. So prayer is extremely essential to keep us alive. And when we pray to God, we are actually trying to connect to the higher dimension, higher energy and uplift our soul. And when that happens, we become a better person. So when we pray, we improve ourselves. So that was few questions. More questions will be answered on Instagram. Do follow there, follow me on Telegram. And if you want to support my channel to bring more quality videos because it needs investment, you can support me on Patreon where I will upload Patreon exclusive videos because not everything can be uploaded on YouTube. So I will share exclusive Patreon videos for those who want to get Patreon subscription. So you can support the channel, support me on that link. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you like this. Do share your comments, and if you have more questions, put it on the comment section below and I will use that in my next Q&A session. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, this is your host Puneet. Namaste.